G'day, I'm introducing myself as George. It's been raining for the last 2-3 days. Finally we've got some good weather right now. Could only mean I'm going to give you a report on a message of hope. And I'm guessing probably by now you've heard what happened to Sandilands and Jackie O. It's all over the news for the last, I don't know, whole week perhaps. You see, 25 years. That's the number. One of the most successful radio partnerships in Australian history. It's a 10-year, $200 million contract. Woo! Huge number, right? In fact, it's the largest deal ever signed in an Australian media. That's a lot of moolah. However, on the 20th of February this year, during a live broadcast about horoscopes of all things, I don't read horoscopes, but doesn't matter. Kyle called his co-host, which is Jackie, almost unworkable. This is what he said, and she was off with the fairies. And that's done in front of hundreds of thousands of listeners too. Imagine that. 7 minutes of live radio, that's all it took. And you know what? By early March, the partnership was over. Finito. The network had to make a call. And they said it was serious misconduct. Jackie said she simply could not continue to work with him. Do you know anyone who might be in the same similar situation at work? Or even at home? Relatives. Now the good thing, at least Kyle admitted afterwards that he probably should have said those words off the air. Probably. Famous last words. His reputation took a serious hit. A great many people turned against him publicly. Like I said, you can research that all day long, you'll find it. For me, I can only imagine what happened to the endorsements and sponsorships that come with that kind of platform. There one day, gone the next. Yeah, I mean his situation and his relationship and is in damage control, really. And well, I genuinely hope he has some emergency money set aside, because I'm not sure how soon he can get some work. Maybe he doesn't need to work anymore, who knows. And because when words go, sometimes everything attached to them goes with it. So that's one point I want to make. Yeah, probably should have said those words off the air if you really want to say something. Again, that number, 25 years, $200 million, just 7 minutes. And really it saddened me, the waste of it. I mean, the staggering, irreversible waste of something that took a quarter of a century to build. Now, because whatever you think of Kyle or Jackie or morning radio shows in general, really $200 million is just a number on the contract. Think about it. Because the real thing being destroyed was 25 years of two people knowing each other. And you can't put a figure on that ever, could you? No. I want to tell you a story because I know what that feels like. Well, maybe not at that scale, nothing like that scale, okay? But I do know it. And it's only just a couple of years ago. You see, my wife, I'm going to acknowledge that she's one of the kindest, hearted people I know. She decided to do something beautiful, okay? She asked for my opinion, of course, before we went ahead. You see, two of our closest friends, John and Peter. They're not their real names, I can't say it. But they had been in a heated dispute over many conversations, I believe. And I heard this from my wife anyway. And now these were the families we've known since the late 90s. We're very close. We knew each other from church. We went to the same church. So that's more than 20 years of friendship, if you count from today on, going back. So she decided, she invited everyone over for dinner at my place, hoping the thing could be healed before it hardened, right? Again, she saw there's some damage control to be done by our friend. Now Peter didn't want to come if John was going to be there. So it ended up being James, which is our mutual friend, and John and our wives around the table. Plus, I love having people coming over. Now, all three wives were weeping openly that night. Everyone in the room could hear it. And the feeling, well, let's just say it felt like a funeral. You know what funeral feels like, right? People mourning a loss that hadn't quite finished happening yet. Now, at that stage, I think the friendship still wasn't dead. There's still some hope. But as we progressed on, everyone in that room felt it was dying. So unfortunately, not everything goes according to plan. I mean, that didn't fix the situation. And even till today, as far as I know, John and Peter remain unresolved ever since back then. So perhaps their hearts may have further hardened. As for me, I haven't stopped praying for them. I just can't, because I worship a Jesus who specializes in what looks irreparable. Is there anything that God cannot do in this world, honestly? So here's my favorite part. I'm going to talk about Bible scripture verses, which will support what I'm going to say. I'm going to refer to James chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Have a listen. So also, the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire, a whirl of unrighteousness. Let me repeat it. A small fire in a great forest. Think about that proportion. It's literally 7 minutes of live radio and 25 years of partnership, wasn't it? Between Carl and Jackie. And if I can say, in other words, one dinner's worth of heated words resulted in a 20-year friendship in ashes. I'm referring to my friends. Yeah? Now in the book of James, James doesn't say the tongue is occasionally dangerous. He said it is a fire that left unchecked sets the entire course of a life ablaze. And once the forest is burning, you don't put it out by being sorry. You survey the damage and you grieve. Right? Let me tell you another thing. As they're growing up, I love watching Jerry Lewis movies on the weekend. Even thinking about it makes me smile. You know, those slapstick, chaotic scenes, the kind of comedy that made you fall off the couch. Yeah, I've done it a few times. I thought he and Dean Martin were the funniest men alive. Good on you, Jerry. But what I didn't know until YouTube sent me a clip one afternoon was that their friendship ended in 1956. Okay, some of it was practical, like both men wanting to have solid careers, each wanting to test what he could do without the other. But unfortunately, the video said words were said, hurtful ones, and whatever first cracked it open, it was the words that made the silence last. So this is a repeated pattern by the looks of it, isn't it? It's a staggering 20 years of silence. But I wonder, what if you don't have another 20 years of living left to go in your life and your heart ends up full of regrets? How would you feel about that? Pause for a moment. Ask yourself that question if you're in that scenario or anyone else. Now it goes on, the video says, thanks Sinatra finally fixed it because he smuggled Dean Martin into a dressing room in the 1976 MDA telethon in Las Vegas. And he walked him on stage as a surprise while Jerry was live on air. Jerry turned, saw his old partner standing there, and without missing a beat, he just said, "So, you working?" Because Jerry just loves on-the-spot jokes, doesn't he? So it wasn't a speech, it wasn't apologies, just two old friends falling straight back into each other like no time had passed at all. That warmth, that shorthand, it was still there, I can see. Buried under 20 years of silence. But it was still there, with a heartbeat. 20 years separation in exchange for a few minutes, huh? I had happy tears watching that clip. I genuinely did. I loved it. I watched it several times since then. But I also noticed that something that sat with me afterwards, you see. They were never fully found their way back to what they had. You see, Martin died in 1995, okay? Lewis in 2017. But by most accounts, they genuinely love each other. That's how I felt. That's my observation. Okay? And by most accounts, those few minutes on the Las Vegas stage were as close as they ever got again. Okay? I guess 1 minute is better than none, isn't it? And it's interesting this week, yeah, it's made all this feel heavier than usual for me. You see, my wife's uncle passed away overseas. He wasn't a young man, pretty advanced in his age, I would say. And then a young acquaintance of my daughter-in-law was gone too. Very young, didn't even hit 40s, I think. I guess death has a way of cutting through whatever you've been telling yourself about time. Because I discovered something sitting with all this. Yeah. We talk a great deal on this channel about being wise stewards of money. Important. Yeah, that matters. It matters deeply because everything we have ultimately belongs to God, and we're managers, not owners, correct? But I believe stewardship doesn't stop at the bank account. You see, the years we spend in hardness towards someone we love, those years are not returned to us. It can't. I've never seen anyone developing a time machine that works. So not in this life. And a man who manages his money well, but lets a 20-year friendship burn to the ground over a dinner table argument, has stewarded one thing and squandered something far more precious. You see, time is not a renewable resource, right? And from what I've seen, Carl saw some of this himself eventually. Yeah, he probably should have said those words off the air. Imagine that, 25 years of trust spent in 7 minutes only. And even he can see the wreckage now. Just looking at the aftermath, some of the interviews people ask him, he really did sound sorry. Now friend, is there someone waiting for a word from you? Not a word that wounds, no. A word that can heal instead. A phone call sitting undialed perhaps, yeah? A conversation you've been putting off until the right moment, when it feels right. So I'm going to finish by saying, so remember, the forest takes years to grow, but the fire takes minutes to burn it down. Please, don't wait for your version of Frank Sinatra to arrange the dinner, because just no one knows exactly how much time you have left. Alright, it's been still going to be a beautiful day. I'm going to enjoy the rest of it, get back to my work. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this video to someone you love. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.